Welcome to the living room. Come on in and join us. I have special guests tonight, and they're going to also have the opportunity to have the living room experience. What happens in the living room? We get nutritional tips. We get health tips. We get beauty tips. We talk about topics that will encourage you and bring you hope, and topics that will help you live a better life as you listen to topics from the living room. So today we are going to be talking about life lessons we learned from our moms. As you know, we recently celebrated Mother's Day, and praise God for our moms that poured into us. Sometimes it's your natural mom, but sometimes the mom that poured into you was the other mom. And some of you had maybe one other mom. I grew up in a neighborhood where everybody was everybody's mom. All the mothers, they looked after all of us. It just reminds me of the saying, it takes a village. So I have two special guests with me tonight, two of my awesome friends. I have Karen Joy. Hey. And I have Karen Moore. And we have the privilege to work together here at Loveland Church, where my husband, Pastor Chuck Singleton, is our senior pastor. And last week on the living room, and if you didn't watch last week, you gotta watch it, I had my birth sister, my sister where we have the same mom and father. We had heard, my sister Diana was on, and we talked about some awesome things about moms. And when I finished, I was talking to my blood sisters, okay, blood sisters in the Lord. We were talking, and we were having such a good time talking about lessons that our moms taught us. And I said, you know what? We're going to interrupt what we were going to do, because I gotta have you guys on.
Okay.
And so, and some of this we know, okay, I'm just gonna talk to you guys now, because we're in the living room.
Yes.
Okay, so we know some of this is gonna be serious and some of it's gonna be funny. Okay, and so who wants to start? Which one? Okay.
Should I?
Yeah, no, go on and start.
Okay.
Karen Joy, tell us something that Mom Pearl, that you learned from Mom Pearl as you were growing up.
Oh my gosh, her work ethic was just off the chain. I will say that. And I will say that I have yet to acquire that.
Wow.
She used to tell my sister and I, so she worked. She was a single parent, and she worked 2 jobs.
Oh, wow.
And she would, when we were in school, you know, that wasn't necessarily, we would be gone during the day and she would be gone during the day. But in the summertime, we would be home and she would go to work, and she would say, get up early and do your work.
Okay.
Look, that was when we were ironing. You know, remember the sprinkle bottle?
Yes.
You used to sprinkle, and you were ironing what? Pillowcases?
Sheets.
Everything.
Did you have to hang your stuff outside? Did you guys go out?
We had a clothesline.
Okay, you had a clothesline too. We did too. Well, it was our neighbors. Yeah.
And she would say, get up early and get your work done. Well, you know, we didn't want to do that.
Of course not.
You know, and so that was one thing that she tried to instill. I think I'm starting to get that now. Oh, that's terrible. It took what, 50 plus years? I'll just say it that way. 50 plus years to get, so that was one thing. That she really instilled, work hard. And I will say this, my mother worked for the government.
Oh.
She made uniforms. She's you know, tailoring and everything. And
really?
We all went to school when you had home ec.
Oh, yes. Oh,
and
yes.
sewing. And
yeah,
so
you had no choice.
You didn't have a choice. And so I would make something, and she would show me, and then she'd make me take it out, because I was rushing and it wasn't right. She wouldn't play. Take it out. You know what that's like, putting a zipper in something, then have to take the stitches back out? Take it out.
Wow.
So she didn't play.
So you grew up actually knowing how to make clothes.
Yeah.
Did you make your own clothes?
I've made some things back in the day.
Yeah. When Pastor Chuck and I first got married, I had this thing. I said, if you could sew a straight line, then you should be able to sew. Because I too had sewing and I think 7th grade was cooking and 8th grade was sewing.
It could be.
It was in where I grew up.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so I remember I went and I took a class on sewing, and then I started making this when Pastor and I first got married. I made all my clothes. I made him suits. I made him pants.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yes. And then when Chuck Jr. was born, by that time I loved to sew. I remember we'd have concerts, the musical concerts, and I remember one time we had to wear black dresses, so I was sewing in the kitchen, making me a black dress for church for the concert. I remember a white dress with I made a lot of stuff. Anyhow, but then Pastor started seeing with pins. You know how easy you sewed? Yeah, straight pins. They're easy to drop when you're sewing. And, it was in the kitchen. And so he fussed and so I stopped sewing.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, because it was good, because neither one of us wanted Chucky to get hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't get the sewing.
You didn't get the sewing?
No, I didn't.
But you're still into fashion. You just learned how to buy it.
But I didn't get the sewing. I grew up on a farm.
Oh, okay.
Wow, I didn't know that. With animals?
Yes. Cows, pigs, chickens, the whole bit. And so, but my mother didn't have a serious work.
Wait a minute. You know what, you guys? Karen might need a handheld mic. She sounds like she's going in and out. But that's okay. Go on.
And we did have to get up early. We did have to tend to the farm. So I did all the taking of the green beans and the potato digging, feeding the chickens and the cows.
Oh
and all
my
of that. I did
gosh.
all of that. So I had to learn how to work early.
Yeah.
And you had to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning because you have to feed early the animals.
Wow.
Especially before it got hot.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be. Yeah.
Well, in the wintertime, it'd be cold. What city? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Shelby, Missouri, and it was right out of maybe 100 miles from Kansas City.
Okay, so that's the not far from Oklahoma too, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain. Okay, so that means it got really cold. Missouri, Illinois, Pennsylvania. Okay,
Yes.
right.
I grew up. It wasn't far from a city, Hannibal, Missouri.
Okay.
Where Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, I know who Tom Sawyer is, but when I hear Hannibal, I think about Anthony Hopkins and Clarice.
Silence of the Lambs.
I never watched those because I'm too scary.
No, you're right. You're right.
So,
So I grew up with the animals.
okay, so your life lessons were just life.
Yeah, and just to work hard, basically to work hard and take care of your family and your children. And that's how I grew up.
How many brothers and sisters?
But my mother, 14.
Wow.
Huh?
My mother had 14 siblings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have one aunt that has 9 children.
Wow. So you have,
I have a lot.
and what's the spacing?
As far as, well, there's 2 sets of twins.
So no, when you were growing up, how many of those 14 children were there?
All of them.
All of them. Wow.
Yes, all we did was tend to the garden and animals, cook and eat. And my grandfather had horses for show, so he tended to the horses.
Do you know how to ride a horse?
Yes, I do.
Oh.
I want a horse, actually, but
A what?
I want a horse. I want.
Oh, you won?
I
What?
actually want them to buy me a horse.
Oh, you want Calvin to
buy me a
buy
horse.
Calvin?
What did he say?
She wants a horse.
I do.
Oh, and
Where are you going to keep the horse? You'll figure that out when you get the horse. Okay, okay. If you guys need to hand her anything, just bring it on up.
Yeah, we want to switch it up.
Okay, they're gonna switch you out, Karen. Okay, and this is the living room, you guys. You know we're good. You know, Karen, I watch Kelly and Ryan sometimes. What is it? Yeah, Kelly.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Gelman comes on all the time. Gelman is their producer. So, and we're in the living room. The living room is not formal.
Okay.
Okay. Well, should be the family room because the living room is formal.
Wow.
Okay, so Karen Moore, you told us last week about something do you know how to do? See, you're so used to being behind the camera.
Put it on your lapel.
Karen.
There. Put it right there so it doesn't move. How's that?
Yeah, you see how I have mine? Yeah, like that. Yeah, like
Let's
that.
see. How's that?
except it's on backwards.
Yeah, it is.
It's on backwards.
The other way.
This is so funny because they run the cameras. They're not used to being in front of the cameras.
Help here.
This is our commercial break, by the way. And during the commercial break,
Okay.
there you go.
Oh, and now I'm moving around.
Okay, so now you guys have to be perfectly still.
Still. Okay.
Okay, so Karen, more. Last week you were telling us something about what your parents, what you guys had to do at night. Yeah, tell us about that.
One of the things that my mother did not allow in her home was us to go to bed mad.
Wow.
Right. And so if we were fussing and fighting, mad about whatever, clothes, dolls, whatever, it didn't matter. We could not go to bed mad. You better make up before you went to bed because she wasn't having it. And her thing was, if the Lord takes you home during the night,
Oh, wow.
yeah, then you're mad at your sibling.
That's
So
right.
you have to not go to bed mad. And we have to make up. And she better know you made up, and you better be hugging and kissing before you go to bed.
So it wasn't a fake makeup.
You're fake man. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm sorry." No.
Wow.
You had to like make up and apologize.
Wow.
I think that is so awesome. And, you know, I thought that you were going to say, I was telling somebody already about this.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I guess because her mom was thinking, don't let the sun go down on your anger. But your mom, you know what? Remember we used to pray, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. So your mom was going from that vein. If one of your siblings, if God takes that sibling home, you don't want to the rest of your life.
Right.
Man, just
Yeah. And you know, I know people like that, that are, that their loved one went home to be with the Lord, and they still have that
because
almost.
nothing's not promised. You never know what's going to happen.
You never know what's going to happen.
Nothing's not promised.
You know, my mother, I don't remember her saying that, but I do know that she would not tolerate like friction. My sister and I got along, but she wouldn't tolerate that. And so I have cousins, I have to be careful what I say, where they didn't get along with their siblings. I mean, like all out war and stuff with their brothers and sisters. And my mother said, I wouldn't, she said, I wouldn't tolerate that. You know, you guys have to get along. It was only the two of us, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, there were four of us, and we fought. We didn't have that rule in our house. But you know what? Because we were close, I don't remember too many, well, okay, with my sisters, I don't remember too many times that we really went to bed angry. But my brother and I are 1 year and 12 days apart.
Oh, wow.
So we were like twins.
Okay.
And as we got older, he got bigger than me, so now he could beat me up.
Yeah.
So I used to tell him, I'm gonna get you at night. I'm gonna get you when you go to sleep tonight. Now my brother was such a, you don't have to tell him to watch this. My brother was such a sound sleeper. I mean, nothing could wake him up. So I would wait at night, and then in the middle of the night, I'd wake up, I'd go over to him, and I would go bam, and I'd slap him. And then the next morning, I would tell him, I got you last night.
He
You never woke up?
My brother was such a sound sleeper that even as into my young adult years, sometimes, you know, I would forget my key. And now, you know, I'm young adult, I'm in college now.
Yes.
And he would be home, and I'd be locked out. And my parents, they were, wherever they were, I don't remember, but I'd be throwing rocks at his window.
He's asleep.
I'd be throwing rocks at his window. I'd be going to the neighbors, asking the neighbor to call. I got locked out so many times, and so.
Oh, kidding.
But yeah, we didn't have that rule.
But it was okay because you didn't grow up where you guys are still like, because sometimes that can be like you don't speak to people for years. That kind of.
yeah.
Oh no,
Can't do that.
I don't
Can't
think
do
we
that.
ever stayed mad at each other for more than a day.
That's
We
good.
had no long term. We didn't.
Yeah.
We might have went to bed angry, but we had no long term anger.
That's
we were
good.
just too close.
That's good.
Yeah, we were too close.
Now, my little brother, I beat him up. I sure did. He's bigger than me, but he's my little brother, but I used to beat him up.
I beat Diane up.
Oh, that's a shame.
Not that I wanted to, though. It's not that I wanted to. Diana is feisty, even to this day. You know, Diana is really feisty. She's a lot younger. And so Diane would sometimes think she could beat me up. And so she would come at me, and I didn't beat her up, though, seriously, because she's younger. I would just knock her down. And then she'd get up, swinging again. I'd knock her down. And I remember saying, Diane, just stay down. Okay, stop coming at me. But now, I dote on Diane. Diana is my heart.
Okay.
That she's a grown woman now, but that's my heart.
You know, I was thinking too, one of the things my mother used to teach us when we were in school, you know how you get frustrated and you want to quit?
Yes.
Oh, you could not give up. She would make us keep on trying and keep on doing it again until you got it right.
That's good.
Oh, sometimes I just want to
Yeah. But that's good that she did not let you give
She would
up.
always tell us never give up, even as we went into adulthood.
Wow.
Adulthood.
Yeah.
Never give up, and you always strive to be the best, and just keep on trying until you get it. Oh my God. Some stuff is just ridiculous
But
trying to
you
do it
know
over and
what,
over
Karen?
again.
That had to have helped you. I won't put your business out there, but a few years ago, when your former employer, that you were, I remember, Karen, you weren't in with us back then, but this Karen, we used to feel so sorry for her because she would leave to go, where'd you work, in Orange County someplace?
I worked in Orange County.
In Orange County. She would always be the first one at work. And even when God blessed her, because we prayed for God to bring her a job this way, God brought her a job this way. And she still was working half the evening. And after all of that, one day she walks into work and she finds out she has no job. And that was a discouraging moment for her. I remember praying for her, watching you tear up.
I couldn't even believe it. I was like, they want me to relocate to North Carolina if I want to keep my job. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that had to hurt. But
It
now
did.
that I listened to what your mom taught you, don't give up. Now I see what helped you. I know the Word of God obviously helped you and your husband, but that which God put inside you through your mom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't give up. She used to always say that.
That's amazing. So Karen, Joy, Mom Pearl, who everybody loves, but she got a feisty side of her too.
Yes. Oh my God.
Tell us about Mom Pearl when you guys were growing up.
Well, I will say this. One of the things she taught us was about being respectful. But we also grew up in a time where you had to respect adults. Whether they were right or whether they were wrong, you still had to be
They're
respectful.
adults.
So, and it's funny because one of the young man that's on sound, I just met him for the first time. One of the things that we weren't allowed to do was call an adult by their first name.
Oh yes.
And even if you had a cousin who was old enough to be your mother, you didn't call them by you said cousin so and so or whatever. So that was something that's kind of stuck with me. Just respecting your elders, respecting the neighbors, respecting people. And if they got out of line, you tell her, you tell the mother, and let her deal with them. But we're in a different time now. It's different.
But you know, Pastor Shaw, I had that too. My mother, and to this day, if you hear me talk to people, I say Mrs. this, Mrs. that. And they're like, why are you calling me Mr. So-and-so? I'm like, because I don't know how to talk to you any other way.
Yeah.
That's how I grew up. It was Mrs. whoever and Mr. whoever. And now, well, I'm grown now, still doing that.
it.
But that came from my mom. Too.
Yeah. And for my parents, it was the same thing. But everybody was auntie and uncle.
Yeah.
Everybody was auntie or uncle, no first names. And I have my dad's first cousin is exactly the same age as I am.
Yeah.
And he went to call my mother. First name she's like, oh no, oh no. And now to this day, he still calls her Aunt Tilly. Okay. And so that's my cousin Sonny. Okay. And so, and for my mom, wait a minute, let me say one more thing. That neighbor thing, things are so different.
Well, they are.
If you were in another part of town
Yeah.
and your neighbor saw
you.
you doing, you better listen to that neighbor.
You better.
Don't be cutting up. Don't be, because they would call your mom and then you
Yeah.
get towed up because you didn't listen to your neighbor.
You got 5
And your
whippings.
neighbor-
You done got 5 whippings.
If you had a neighbor who was home during the day, like if your mother or your parents might have worked, but you had a neighbor who was home, you didn't know it, but they were watching. So if
Yeah.
your mother told you don't have anybody in the house, you know don't let it be a guy. No boys.
No boys.
No friends could
boys.
come in. You could be on the porch, but you could. They would tell you. You would think nobody knew, and then your mother would come home and she knew everything.
And then you think she's like a genie or
Oh
something.
my God!
How she know that? How she know that?
No, yeah, your neighbors, they knew, and you had to be respectful to them. Even if, like I said, even if they were out of place with you, you still had to respect
You
them.
had to respect them.
You know, even with my children, and we were the same way. No guys upstairs in the house.
Yeah.
I mean, this carried over to every house we moved to. Okay, because we were always in a double-story house. But if for our house, you know, I have 4 sons. You guys know that. No girls were allowed upstairs in my house. The only girl was me. Even Donna and Sean, my
Yeah.
spiritual
Oh,
daughters.
Donna,
They couldn't go
yeah.
Nobody could go up, no girls upstairs in the house. And I think that was a good lesson. I don't understand, I don't want to get off topic, but I seriously don't understand kids that are like, we're doing our homework, and you got a girl and her boyfriend, and her boyfriend or her friend, and the door is closed.
Yeah. I told Kyla one time, I said, you lock the door if you want to, you won't have the door be off the hinges. I said, I would take this door.
Take the door off the hinges.
And you will have no door. You will have no door.
And praise God, our children have grown up good. Michael, we watched Michael like 3 times Sunday. Do you guys see those commercials? What is it, Mercury?
Sometimes.
Yeah, and it's the orange thing together.
Yeah.
We watched Michael 3 times on that commercial on Sunday.
I told check. Make sure you're not supposed to get royalties.
Oh, I hope he's getting. That's what I know.
I told him to check. He got paid for it.
Oh, he
But I
only
don't
got
know-
one time. Most of the time, well, see, that's his first one. Next time,
Yeah.
he'll get royalties each one. Because as much as I've seen that commercial, but I was going to tell you about my mom. One of the
Yes.
things my mom that I learned from my mom is just wanting to give the best appearance and sophistication, an appearance of
A lady.
Huh?
Being a lady.
being a lady,
Absolutely.
being a lady, and yes, that's a good word. Just being a lady, and when you go out, you know, look like you
like a
belong to.
Hey.
Look like I'm a Palmer. I used to tell that to my children. I'm like, you better act like you are a singleton. You know, I would tell them that. Act like you are a singleton. And then my mom pushed us as far as education was concerned. So, you know, I had 3.5 years of college when I went to work with Campus Crusade for Christ.
Okay.
And, you know, it was very disappointing to my parents because, you know, so close to finishing.
Oh, yeah.
But I went to work for Campus Crusade for Christ. And, you know, then finished working there. Pastor Chuck and I, now we're dating, we get married. But Mom she would never let it go.
Yeah.
You need to finish that degree.
Yeah, finish it.
And so it was always in the back of my head. And then God just worked it out. I won't even tell that, but God worked it out for me to end up getting that bachelor's degree. And I always tell people, I got the bachelor's degree from my mom.
Okay.
I got the master's degree from me. Okay. I'm like, I was at my graduation ceremony for my bachelor's degree,
Yeah.
and they were. The people were coming up with the stole on their arm, and they would go up and the professor would take the stole off and they would stoop down and they would put the stole
Right.
around their neck.
Right.
And I'm talking to the guy next to me. I'm like, what are they doing? What are they doing? He said, that's the stoling ceremony for the master's degree. And I told him, they're going to do that to me. And that's really what took me through those. I doubled up on my classes for my master's degree, went down to Fullerton 3 times a week and 3 nights a week for a year,
Oh,
just
my
over a
gosh.
year. And that was one of those, just like we didn't have any rain this year.
Yes.
That was one of those years where we had a deluge of rain that
Oh, my
year.
gosh.
And I'm driving like this, 10 o'clock at night, coming back from Fullerton.
Oh, my
But in the
gosh.
back of my mind, seriously, I kept on thinking, I kept on seeing
Yes.
them putting that stole around my
Yeah,
neck.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what it
Wow.
takes. So anyhow, so I praise God for my mother pushing us with education, because she has her master's, her master's. She got 1 million certificates and everything.
wow.
And
I didn't know.
and she did that, and she was like the second woman in our town that did that. And she got so much flack, and my dad got so much
For
flack
going to school?
for her going back to college. She went back to college when Diana went to kindergarten. She said she was
Okay.
going to wait. And I can still remember her best friend saying, Tilly, why do you have to mess it up for everybody, for us? And then the guys would get on my dad's case.
Why'd you let her go back to school?
Why'd you let her go? Not bad. Go to school. Why'd you let her go to school? She's gonna make more money than you. And they gave him such a hard time because it was breaking that.
Yeah,
There was only one lady in our whole town that had gone to college. Well, one black lady, and so she was like the second one. So that teaching to go against the grain.
Wow.
And so I got to read what my sister Diane sent to me, because
Okay.
Diana sent this to me. And she said that Mom poured into me throughout my life that no one is better than me. People choose to further their careers, but that doesn't make them better.
Right.
Because she, if on her job, she has experienced people with way higher degrees.
Yes.
She's been there longer than almost all of them, but she's actually told them, just because you have more education than me does not make you better than me.
Wow.
And then always to respect myself, and always to put a little money aside for a rainy day.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
another thing we had to do.
What you tell us
Yeah,
about
we had
it?
to do that. I don't care if you made 25 cents, you had to save 5 cents.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's good.
We had to save, and we had to have our little piggy banks. And we had to save some of our money, and then we went to church a lot too. So here I am. I thought about Pastor Billy the other day when he said something about that penny. What's that, Pastor Chuck? How you gonna get a penny from the 5 cents? But we had to do that too. We had to
Yeah.
tithe. She taught us how to tithe when we were young.
Okay.
She taught us how to tithe, and she taught us about saving, which in turn I started teaching Kyla how to save when she was like
That's
10,
good.
11.
That's good.
Yeah, I started teaching Kyla, but she made us save. Anytime you got anything from working for someone, working, doing any kind of chore or anything, you had to save some of it. So you always had to put some aside. And of
I
course,
think that's
me, I
awesome.
wanted to shop, but
You grew up in the church, right, Karen?
I did.
yeah.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Oh my goodness! I think of all the life lessons, it was knowing God, and so my earliest memories were going to church. I don't ever remember not
going.
being in church. We grew up, and my grandfather was a pastor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys go to his church?
We did. We
Oh.
did. And Mom actually played the piano. And so she would play for their choir. It was a small choir.
I didn't know.
And I can't remember the name of those things that they wear, maybe more in like the Episcopal church, where the white, what are those things called? But so the choir wore the white, they had long, big sleeves, and they stopped here. And then you had black. I can't think of the name
I
of
know
them.
what you're talking about, though. In Methodist church, they wore those
Yes,
too.
yes.
Yeah, because my auntie's church, they wore
That's
those.
right. And so the choir wore that, and so we would go to rehearsal. And we weren't really on the choir, but we would go to rehearsal, and she made them for us as well. And I believe that's why I know all the stanzas to the hymns, because that's what they would sing in church. And so we would just be there, and we would sing with them as if we were adults. So she took us to church. She didn't send us, but she took us to church, even when I didn't want to go. You know this is what's funny. I remember growing up, and my great-grandmother was also with us. So my grandmother, my great-grandmother, on my father, these are my father's relatives.
Okay.
And we would go to church, and Mom would be up front with the choir. You couldn't act up because she
Ooh,
would see you
better not
for
act
whatever
up.
you were doing. And we would lay down and go to sleep, like on my great-grandmother's lap. Mama was like,
Oh, really? That
It's
was
one thing to maybe fall asleep over there, but we were laying on her lap with our feet stretched.
We know
Wait a minute, on Sunday?
You're not home.
On Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You're not home. You came to so we had behavior was real critical when you went to church. You know, of course, we grew up at a time where they didn't have children's church, so children sat in church
Exactly.
with their parents, and
Right.
you sat in that spot with you. And I don't even know if we were allowed to eat anything. She might have slipped us a piece of candy, but you know, it's not like now. But anyway, she took us, and she lived that life. I mean, clearly, what we know today and the teaching that we have
Yeah.
today
Yeah.
is different and more
Way
in depth.
different.
But for what she knew to do, she took us, she modeled that as a single mother.
Wow.
She didn't have men. And, you know, my father was around somewhere else, but, you know, for whatever reason, he wasn't able to be a father like we needed him to be.
Uh-huh.
But she didn't have men coming in the house, spending the night. I think I remember one guy, she might have went out once, and he might have hit the doorway once, and that was it. Because, you know, when you have daughters, you really...
You got to
have
be careful.
you
And
have
that's
to be very
amazing.
careful.
Because your mom is so pretty. I mean, she's pretty right now. So I could even
Yeah,
imagine what she would have looked like then.
Yeah, I think she
Mom
just
Pearl
was
is-
very, careful in her walk with the Lord, and also she had girls, and she didn't want to bring men home.
Right.
So I'm not saying she never went out on a date. If she did, she didn't bring him home for us to meet him. I'll say that.
So none of them lived up to that standard.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
And
And, yeah.
so I was just saying, so she lived that life in front of us, and as a godly woman, and if there was anything, she was able to pass that on. If there's anything you can pass on to your children, is their relationship with God.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am in such agreement. I tell people all the time, when my mom was having children, women didn't bring their children out till they were 6 weeks old. That was the
Easily.
standard, 6 weeks old.
Easily.
It wasn't like now you go, how old is your child? Oh, they're 2 days old, they're a week old. I'm like, why do you have your child out among these people?
Another conversation.
Yeah, I know. So from 6 weeks old until this day,
That's right.
I've been in church. I've never not been in church.
Right.
And even when I left home, I mean, that was just a part of,
church.
Yeah.
that's what you do.
That's what you do on
You
Sunday.
go
You
to
go to
church.
church. Yeah.
And I remember on Sunday morning, my mom was an opera singer.
Yeah.
I mean, she's had concerts and everything
Yes.
at the Civic Arena and stuff. I remember her hollering up the steps, and she would sing it, you know. So, wait a minute. Remember when the street lights came on?
Yeah,
You had to come in the house?
yes.
So the street lights would come on, and my mother and the kids just mocked her, and they teased us. And she would, Gloria, Charlotte, Eugene, Diana.
Can you imagine?
So that's when the street lights came on. But on Sunday morning, it was like, y'all better get up and get ready for church. What are y'all doing sleeping? You know, I woke you all up 20 minutes ago. We had to get up. We had to get ready for church.
That's funny.
And we walked to church because my mom didn't learn how to drive until I was actually out of high school.
Yeah.
When my mom learned how to drive. And y'all know my mom. So my mom had this red car. And I remember we went home, Pastor and I went home. I'm married by now. I was married when she finally got her driver's license.
Wow.
And she's trying to back out. She's trying to back up. And that car is just scraping the side of our brick house. And I remember, I can still see this. And eventually she got out. The car is all scraped out. She looked at the car and she said, well, this is just my practice car anyway.
Okay.
And she got back in the car because she had to go to school. She's a school teacher.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I can see her doing that too.
I think another thing that and so I praise God for that we grew up in the church. She gave us a nickel every week to put in church, and then it went to a dime. And actually, when they're still in grade school, but eventually she gave us a quarter.
Wow.
And I think that she was testing us.
Oh, to see
You
if
know,
you're gonna
I
do
think
it.
she was testing us to see what we would put in church. So I appreciate that. And I was going to say something. Oh, I think one of the biggest things I love about my mom and I appreciate about her, is how she embraces life. I don't know if I've ever met anybody. She just loves life. She wakes up in the morning happy
Okay.
and singing. She
It
wants,
is, yeah.
if she goes to the grocery store, that's an experience. If we go shopping, that's an experience. If we go to, I don't care what it is. You listen to her when pastor's preaching,
Yes.
she's never heard a sermon that good. And when I'm preaching, she's never heard a sermon that good. And we all say this. She has taught us, this is the day the Lord has made.
Yes.
Embrace that day. Yeah. Go on.
I had thought about that. Makes me think about my mother. She used to say, "Love unconditionally." Back then, I'm like, "What's she talking about?" I mean, think about it. I'm like 15. I'm like, what is she talking about? Love unconditionally. Well, now I know what she's talking about. But back then, I was thinking, she crazy. So what does that mean, Mom? What does that mean?
Do you look like your mom or your dad?
No, I look like my father.
You look like your father.
But I actually look like my Aunt Gloria the most.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But do you act like your mom?
I do act like my mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Karen, we know you look like your mom. You look really like your
I
mom.
do have features, though. I have to say this. I had to say this. I was sitting in the ladies' room one day, looking at myself in the mirror,
That was
and
my
my
next
hands
question.
are like my mother's, and my lips. I'm like, wow, I do look like my mom. But I didn't notice it until I was much older. Yeah.
Wow.
But she used to say that, and I thought, what is she talking about? What? But now I know what she means. You know, you love a person no matter what.
Right.
You know, and I learned that growing up.
So, Karen, when did you become your mom?
Oh my God.
Because Karen just said that, you know, yeah. And I remember literally walking by the mirror. I mean, seriously. I was walking by the mirror one day, and I happened to glance at the mirror, and I'm like, what?
Yes,
And I backed up. I'm like, I've become my mother.
I remember.
So tell us about
I
that.
don't know if I can remember a time.
Okay, how are you most like your mom? Since
to
we're
think
talking about life lessons.
Yeah.
Or what's something that you do to this day? That,
Just like your
okay, I see that look on her face.
Oh my gosh, it probably drives Michael crazy.
I was going to ask you.
You know what? Okay, let's just say washing clothes. Oh my gosh, sorting clothes. And you all might think this is really funny. And I mean, when I wash clothes, I might have like 5 piles because I ruined my have you ever ruined your mother's clothes when she allowed you to wash?
No.
I ruined it.
No, I ruined my own, but not hers.
When you first, okay, so we washed clothes and then maybe I had something in her and it was pink. It turned everything.
Oh, yeah. I take
Lord.
that back.
So now, as a
Did you do
result
that?
of that, I have a million piles of that. Don't wash that with that. And I tried to instill that in my own child, but you go to college, it's like you got one load of wash.
Yeah.
Everything goes in one pile.
Yeah, so that, and let me see what else. Cooking, the way
Do you
you
cook
put
like
stuff.
Mom Pearl?
No.
You don't? Oh, yeah, because I know Mom Pearl.
No.
I didn't hear the no. I didn't
I
hear
asked her, did she cook like Mom Pearl?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. It took me years to try to do greens like her. I said, Mom, why my greens don't taste like, you got too much water in it. She said, what you do? You got too much water. You know, and then she tells you to taste your food as you're going, you know, different things. But I was just thinking about in the kitchen in particular, or how you clean. Oh my God. Cleaning the bathrooms and cleaning the wood. Did you guys have to do that when you were growing up? The blinds and the woodwork?
Oh, now we had to, well, Gloria, my sister Gloria, she was the one, I used to look at her like, I can't believe you're doing that. But we had the wood floors.
Yeah.
Gloria would be on her hands and knees with some kind of salve stuff for wood. And she would do the whole thing. Yeah, I didn't do that. No, I did other stuff for my mom, though.
Yeah.
No, I would clean. And back in the day, I mean, you didn't leave home without knowing how to clean a house.
That's right.
How to do a complete kitchen.
That's right.
Not have to. No, we learned some great lessons.
Yeah.
So you don't cook like your mom.
No.
Who is your mom? But your mom's a cook.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
What about your sister?
No.
Neither one of y'all got that gene.
No. My sister, she'll tell you today that she doesn't cook well. She used to cook for her children.
Okay,
Because you
of
have
course.
to,
Yeah.
you know. But then after they got to the place where she didn't need to cook for them, she just stopped cooking. And so when Mom moved in with her, Mom did all the cooking. So I've learned some tips from her in cooking, but I certainly am not a chip off the old block with the cooking at all.
You know how I see you like your mom?
How?
Now, I don't know how your mom used to be, okay, because everybody's mom changes.
Right.
We were talking last week about the moms throwing stuff at and missing. Which one of you guys was that?
Karen.
That was Karen?
Oh,
Okay.
yes. And how she not miss is what I didn't understand. She could throw for across the room and you still would get hit. I'm like,
Well, as soon as I told that to Diane today, I said, I don't know which one of the girls, which was it, Karen or Karen Moore or Karen Joy, but they were throwing stuff, talking about throwing stuff. I forget her mom throwing, and Diane was saying, oh yeah, I remember the eggs.
So you-
Because see, my mom
oh.
missed. No, my mom never. If it was an egg, she was throwing across the room. The egg was coming down. If it was chicken wing, that was missing. Because
No, my mom was slapped. You ever got slapped?
oh,
The
my.
mouth.
oh, in the mouth, yeah. When you was talking back, yeah. Don't talk back.
Because I have to demonstrate for this for you guys. Because I told you in the sermon the other day. So when I got to be a teenager, especially, I'm gonna give the good part. When I left home, one day I called the florist and I sent my mom this beautiful flowers, and all the card said was, "Just because you're my mother." That's it, and made her cry and stuff.
Okay.
And I needed to do that because of what I put her through when I was growing up.
Okay.
Now, I was perfect outside the home, though. I mean, everybody thought I was the perfect child. But in home, I just had a mouth. So one day, I have to demonstrate to y'all this. So one day, my mom was fussing, and I'm in the kitchen, and I'm kneeling down, and looking in the cabinet at something. And my mom was fussing. And I looked up, and I said, talk if you want.
Oh.
And you see this cabinet? Next thing I knew, I was up underneath the cabinet. My mom took her foot and she said, boom. And as she should have.
Yeah.
Because you know what I learned from that? Everybody has a child like them. That's what they say. I had 4, so one of them was like me. I won't say which one.
Okay.
But you know what I learned? My mom took so many years trying to figure out what was the matter with me? Because that's before the middle child syndrome, how people knew about that middle child syndrome. She spent so many years
What did I do?
fussing with me. By the time my kids are around, I'm like, I am not fussing with no child. I'm not arguing with the child. I'm the mother. You're the child.
Wow.
You can say something, but I'm not doing that. I watched my mother do that, trying to figure out what's the matter with Charlene. Trying to make life easier, you know. But no, she did knock me up into my mouth a number of times. It wasn't as many as I needed, but she did. But like I said, I made them really proud. I got great grades. I was in everything in school. I mean, my parents were truly proud of me. But at home,
It was just your mouth.
it was just my mouth. But I did call my mother, and this is for every mother out there. For every mother out there that you got a child like that and you just don't know. Now, when your child is 5 years old and they're talking back, I can't say this on TV. I won't tell you what to do, but I will tell you.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all know what I'm saying.
Yes, we do.
Okay?
Sure, I
The
did that.
Bible says,
Yes. Train the child.
the foolishness is bound up in the child, but the rod of correction
It does say it.
will drive it far from them. Anyhow, now I'm getting fit for get my thought, because see, I'm now on the quote Bible verses. I'm thinking about a Bible verse. What was I saying?
You were talking about disciplining your
Discipline.
children. Because I have experienced that with Kyla.
Okay.
And she was a talk back person.
Okay.
And
Oh, that's what I was. Wait a minute. Hold up. So hold on to that thought about Kyla. I just want to finish encouraging you all.
Okay.
When I left home, I can still remember one Sunday, and I'm like 19 years old now. It was a Sunday afternoon. I'm living in Dallas, Texas. I called my house, and my dad answered the phone. And you know what dads, for my dad, he'd hear my voice, hi, I'll get your mama. Okay. And so I said, no, tell mom to pick up the other phone, because we still had landlines. So mom picked up the phone, dad's on the other line. I said, I wanted to tell you guys something together. And I told them, I want to just thank you all for all you put up with me in the house with my mouth. And I asked them to forgive me. And, you know, the Word of God says that for the Proverbs 31 woman, it says her children rise up and call her blessed. Your children might just have to get a little older, experience a little bit of life, but you keep on living as unto the Lord. Your child is not there for you to be their friend. I'm sorry. Your child is there for you to be their mother. And they're going to get mad at you, and it's okay for them to get mad at you, because one day they're going to grow up and tell you, you are blessed.
That's right.
Finish talking about Kyla.
I was just thinking, Kyla tried me like 3 times, and that last time was it. I don't know if you remember one Sunday when we were over on Grove, and you said something to her, and she said something, snapped back, and I'm like, you will not. I snatched her real quick in the foyer, and everybody was looking at me, and I'm like, you know what? Sorry, she is not going to be disrespectful. I am so sorry. I don't care who it is. She is not going to do that.
That's good.
So I said, you better apologize. Okay, that was one time.
I vaguely remember that. Okay.
Yeah, we were at church.
I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Another time we were in the car. I say something, she say something. Wow. I say something, she say something. I stopped in the middle of the street. I was like, damn. I'm like, we're not going to do this. People was driving around me. We were going to Life Covenant. They were driving around me. I said, I'm sorry, I cannot. If I don't stop her from doing this, she's going to continue to do this. Oh, my God. Another time, we were in the classroom. We were in the classroom, and I never forget Miss Carol. And she had called me about Miss Kyla doing stuff. She let me in that room with Kyla, and I didn't know the window was open at the top in the classroom. And I was just wailing into her. I said, you are not going to do this stuff at school. You are not going to talk back. You are going to be a respectful child, you know. And Miss Carol come knocking on, Miss Moore, Miss Moore. I'm like, oh my God. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine, Miss Carol.
Is Kyla okay?
I'm like, I can't. If I don't stop Kyla, she's going to continue to do that.
Right.
Yeah, but
well, can I commend you? Because I remember Kyla as a teenager, as a young girl and a teenager. I remember her mouth. But Kyla is one of the sweetest young women that you will ever meet. You don't even see that in Kyla now. I mean, seriously, so you did a good job.
Praise God.
I remember driving down, and you remember that Jeep I used to drive? Well, you guys were in the church.
No.
You were. I used to drive that Jeep. It was a tore-up Jeep, too. I mean, on the outside, it worked. But I remember driving the Jeep and picking up my kids from Loveland Academy, picking up the kids, and one of the children in the back seat. Okay, because you had 4 kids, and one got in back, and one here, and then the 3 in the back. The oldest always got to sit up in the front, so it wasn't Chuck Jr. Okay, so anyhow, I'm driving, and one of my kids in the back seat had the nerve to talk back at me. And this is where God protects fools and babies. So on this day, I was a fool, because I am driving with this hand, and I'm beating him in the back seat. Don't you talk to me like that. Yeah, but you know what? All of our children, they have grown up good. Yeah, okay, so tell us about you and Michael.
You know what? And so Michael still reminds me of one time when he told me, I don't even know what it was about, where he told me that I sucked. I don't even know.
He told you you sucked.
Oh my goodness! That just don't even see. Yeah,
I just knocked him in the mouth. So he remembers that to this day. I don't even remember. And so of course, I tried not to discipline like my mother in that we always, Michael and I, we would have a we would talk about things. And so I tried not to do it when I was mad.
Yes.
That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I used to, you know those paddle balls that had the long string
Yep.
and the ball like that?
Ooh.
And so I got it all. I said, okay, this would be a really good paddle. It's not a strap, so I don't have to worry it hits flailing in the air. And so I would just kind of make him lay down over my legs. And I would pat his back. And I mean, not uncontrollably. He would, and then I would want him to hug me.
This is gonna hurt me more than it hurts
I
you.
know. And so then one day I was cleaning in the closet, and I found it, the paddle.
Oh, really?
It was hysterical. But but I don't know what to say. But other than that, Michael was more of a, Michael wasn't strong-willed.
Okay.
So, but he was one of them ones where you call, he was compliant, but he's one of the kind where you would say, I might be sitting on the outside, but
Okay.
I'm standing
On
on
the
the
inside.
inside.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
what you could call passive aggressive
Okay.
is kind of, which is not a good thing.
Wow. And I'm looking at all of our children now. I will say this with my children. I never hit my kids with my hand, ever. Well, I take that back. I did sock them a couple of times.
Yeah.
But I had watched so many people beat their kids out of anger
It's not
that I just had always said I wasn't going to do that. Like I said, there was a couple of times I did when I was beating him in the back seat. But for the most part, 98% of the time, we would have court.
Court? Okay.
Court. No, if they did something, I did. Like I said, I'm like, I'm not going to beat you. Just no. Let's talk. So I'm the judge, and they would give what they did, and then I would pass down the sentence.
Okay.
And whatever the sentence was, I had Grandpa's belt. My dad had given me one of his belts, them thick belts.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had Grandpa's belt, and I would say, okay, your punishment is you get 5 hits, and they had to put both their hands on the dresser.
Okay.
And if they took their hand off the dresser, that was an extra hit. Because I told my kids, I'm not chasing nobody to beat them.
Yeah.
Okay, one time Carrie was going to get a spanking.
Oh, boy.
And I just laughed so much I couldn't even spank him. When it was time for him to get his hit, he turned around. He had books in the back of his pants. He had books like I couldn't see the books. Okay, he had put books, and I just laughed. I couldn't even beat him. And so I want to say this, that because we have like about 7 minutes, and I want you guys to be thinking about something that you want to thank your mom for. Okay, a word that your mom's not with us anymore, right?
No.
Okay, but you can just tell us something that you learned from something that you would like. If your mom was around, this is what you would tell her. And the same thing for Karen. I do want to tell you guys that next week I have 2 guests, 2 of my favorite people. I had a spiritual mom. She's gone home to be with the Lord now. Her name was Mom Marie Brewington. And next week, her son and his wife, her son Ken, and his wife Cheryl are going to be my guests. And we have an array of things we're going to be talking about. And so be there with us. We're going to talk about some of the wisdom that Mom Brewington poured down into both of them. We're going to be talking about mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, relationships, because that was a great one. And actually, the month of June, we're going to be doing just a whole series on mother-in-law, daughter-in-law relationships. You guys know my daughter-in-law. My son and daughter-in-law live with me, and I couldn't. If I had written the what's the word, the recipe or whatever, the resume for a daughter-in-law, she checks all of them. And so we're going to be doing that one Sunday, and we're going to be talking about relationships and just a whole lot of things during the month of June. And so I'm going to have something about Mom Pearl. I do have to say, Mom Pearl, to you, I first say, thank you so much for you being you, and for the love that you are probably one of the most loving women I have ever met. That's why everybody loves you.
True.
And my mom is mom to everybody out here. And when she comes from Illinois, and Mom Pearl, you know, when you come out here from Philadelphia, you're Mom Pearl to everybody.
That's right.
And so we're going to have Karen, you give your
Okay.
final words, and then we'll go to Karen, then I'll give mine. Okay.
All right, so Mom, I have to make sure that you can watch this. I just want to thank you for all the sacrifice, for the example, for family, teaching us how to love our family, how to be close. Thank you so much for all of the craziness that I put you through and whatever that was, a whole plethora of things. But thank you so much for allowing me to see you model the virtuous woman, the work ethic, and your attitude and love for everybody. And above all, for teaching me who Jesus is and
Yes,
taking
that's
me
what
where
I
I
was
could
gonna say.
learn. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
Thank you so much.
And I would say the same thing to my mother. She taught me family first. And now thank you, Mom. Thank you for teaching me to love my family and put my family first. And thank you for teaching me to love Jesus and about Jesus. Because that's where I first learned about Jesus, was from my mom. And thank you, Mom, for teaching me those things. And thank you for the discipline that you put in me, which has taught me how to be the woman I am today. Thank you for that. So I love you. I miss you too.
Oh, that is so nice. And to my mom, Mom Tilly, as everybody calls you, you know what? We should have had a picture of all of our moms. I thought about this like 2 minutes after we started. I'm like, how come we didn't have a picture of everybody? But we didn't. But to my mom, I want to thank you for teaching me to be my best me. I want to thank you for pouring into me confidence to know who I am. I thank you for teaching us never follow the crowd. Be your own woman, and even be your own girl, because you taught us that when we were so young. I thank you for how you taught me how to cook, and we're both little, but we both know how to cook, and I thank you. I thank you for teaching me how to clean, for taking me to church, teaching me how to give to God. I didn't even know about the tithe, but you taught me. You give to God. Thank you for teaching me save some money.
Wow.
And thank you for, as I told you before, embracing life and showing me what real joy is life, whether things are going good or things are going bad. When I look in the mirror, I do see you when I look in the mirror. But guess what, Mom? I am so honored and proud that when I look in the mirror, I see you. I mean, wow. Looking like Jesus, looking like you. What more could I even ask for? And so thank you, thank you, thank you. And to all of our moms, we wish you a Mother's Day from, well, you know what? Seriously, every day should be Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Every day should be Mother's
Yes.
Day. And so from the living room, I forgot, I didn't get a chance to show you the exercise. I was going to show you guys an exercise because everybody wants to see this exercise. You know what? I'm going to do this as we leave. Okay, here you go. Here's one for you. Okay. And here's one for you, Karen. Okay, because on the living room, usually you got to stand up. On the living room, we're usually just showing people just a little exercise for the day. And I know we got heels on, so I'm just going to show you. Neither one of y'all need this. Wow. But there's a couple. There's one that I do because I want to have a little waist.
Waist?
Yeah. So we're just going to take this foot and point it that way, and then we're going to take this hand and you're going to put this hand. Put the weight in this hand. Put the weight. Oh, you don't have your thing hooked on.
no.
You can do it that way because you can do it. Okay, just put this hand up then. Just put that hand up. Okay. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this hand up and I'm going to look. And I'm pointing that foot this way and I'm just bending over. Just bending over.
Like this?
Yeah, just bend over. You're just bend and stretch. Okay.
We're gonna
Well,
feel that
you
tonight.
should be able to feel that.
It feels
okay. 3. Okay. Okay. 4. And like I said, you're looking up.
Okay.
Okay. 5. Okay. You have to do 7. 7's the number of completion. I'm sorry. 6 and one more and 7.
Okay.
Okay. So so every week on the living room, and then you were not going to do the other hand, but you got to do the other hand.
Okay.
So
many pounds
every
is
week
it?
on the living room,
How many pounds
that's
you got?
8 pounds. I got the
It's
10 pound.
Let me see
I
if
do
I
a
can
12
lift
pound.
this one.
Now you got heels on. You shouldn't be lifting weights with heels on anyway. Okay. And then the other thing. I showed this exercise last week, and then we're going to be done, you guys. I showed this exercise last week, and I realized I didn't tell the ladies something I needed to tell them. And it's just a squat exercise. It's just a squat, and I'm going to be that way since that's my camera. But I was telling them, you bend down, but when you bend down, you got to make sure these knees do not go over your feet.
That's right.
So actually, you're pushing your booty back. So you're just bending down like that.
Trying to touch the
and you're
wall.
coming back and squeezing. And you're
Like you're trying to sit down.
like you're sitting down. Thank you, Karen.
That's it.
Act like you're about to.
Sitting
Y'all doing this? Okay. Okay. Like you're sitting down and you're coming up. One more time. Okay. Oh, wait, that's good. That looks good on the camera. Look at that. Okay. 1 and 2. Come on, Karen Moore. Karen Joy. 1 and
God.
2.
Okay.
Okay. Make sure you're just sticking it down. And 2. Okay. Okay. So thank you for joining us on the living room. And we're going to see you guys next week. Bye.
Be your own kind of beautiful.
Okay. All right. You got to stay healthy. Okay.
Yes.
All righty.